What if you could walk into any room and just get it? Instantly decode what people are really thinking even before they say a single word.
Look, reading people isn't some kind of magic trick, and it's definitely not a superpower reserved for spies and profilers. It's a science, and it's a skill that anyone can learn. Once you get this, your perception becomes your greatest power. It'll transform literally every conversation you have. So, let's get into it.
Okay, so first up, the hidden nonverbal language. Long before anyone says a word, their body is already talking. I mean, every little gesture, every shift in how they stand, it's all broadcasting a message. We're about to learn how to tune in to that silent frequency.
And get this, over 60%, more than 60% of all our communication is nonverbal. That's huge! It's this silent language that we're all speaking, but most of us were never taught how to actually read it. So where do you even begin?
Okay, here's the first big secret. And honestly, it's where almost everyone messes up. You don't just start looking for tells or signs of lying. No, you start by figuring out someone's baseline. What does that mean? It's just how they act when they're relaxed, comfortable, in a totally normal situation. That's your starting point. It's the reference for everything else.
And this is the real game changer. The key is not the signal itself, but the shift. See, a single gesture, like someone crossing their arms, it can mean anything. Maybe they're cold. But a shift away from their baseline, that's a different story. Imagine a friend who's usually super animated suddenly goes quiet and crosses their arms. That's what tells you something's changed inside. That's your signal to pay attention.
All right, so to spot those shifts, you need a toolkit. And that toolkit is all about decoding the three main channels people use to communicate without saying a thing. Let's break them down.
It comes down to three things: the face, the body, and the voice. Each one gives you a different piece of the puzzle. When you can read all three together, that's when you see the full picture.
First up, the face. Let's talk about something called microexpressions. These are lightning-fast, involuntary flashes of pure emotion. They happen in less than a second, before the brain can even think about hiding them. Take a smile, for example. A fake smile, it's just the mouth. But a real, genuine, happy smile, it lights up the eyes, gives you those little crinkles at the corners. Those flashes are some of the most honest signals you'll ever see.
Now for a really surprising one. The feet are the most honest part of the body. Think about it. We're all so focused on controlling our faces, right? But we totally forget about our feet. Evolutionarily, our feet are wired to get us out of danger, to run. So they don't lie. They will literally point where we want to go. If you're talking to someone and their feet are aimed right at the exit, well, their brain is already halfway out the door.
And of course, there's posture. This tells a huge story about confidence or insecurity. Open postures, standing tall, taking up space, uncrossed arms, that screams comfort and confidence. But closed postures, hunched shoulders, crossed arms, making yourself smaller, that's all about protection. It's a subconscious way of putting up a shield when you feel defensive or unsure.
And finally, the third channel, the voice. And I want you to forget the words for a second. Just listen to the music of their voice. A sudden jump in pitch, that's stress tightening the vocal cords. Lots of ums and uhs, that can be a sign the brain is working really hard, maybe a little too hard to come up with a story. How someone speaks often tells you way more than what they're actually saying.
Okay, so we've got our toolkit, face, body, and voice. Now, let's put it to the test in a pretty high-stakes scenario: spotting deception.
So, how do you actually spot a lie? Well, first off, it's not what you see in the movies. It's not about shifty eyes. In fact, a good liar will often give you too much eye contact to try and seem honest. The real clues are way more subtle than that. Here's the psychology behind it. Lying is incredibly stressful for the brain. I mean, it has to juggle three things at once: invent a fake story, keep the real story hidden, and watch your reaction to see if you're buying it. That's a huge cognitive load, and it causes the system to glitch. And those glitches are what we call behavioral leaks.
So what do those leaks look like? Well, a truthful person's story is usually simple and direct. It just flows from memory. But a deceptive story? It's often way too complicated, packed with unnecessary details to try and sound believable. Another big one is distancing language. Instead of saying, "I didn't take the money," a person might say, "The money was taken." See that? They're subconsciously putting distance between themselves and the action.
Okay, this is a lot of information, I know. So how do you actually start using this stuff today?
Let's boil it all down to a super simple, 3-step action plan you can use in your very next conversation.
Step 1. Always observe the baseline first. Find out what's normal for them. Step 2. Look for clusters. Never, ever rely on a single gesture. One signal is just a guess. But crossed arms, a tight jaw, and feet pointing to the door? Now that's a cluster. And finally, step 3. Consider the context. This is non-negotiable. If someone has their arms crossed in a freezing room, they're not defensive, they're just cold. Context is everything.
But here's the most important part of this whole thing. The goal isn't to become some kind of human lie detector or to walk around analyzing everyone. That's not it at all. The real goal is connection. When you can genuinely sense that someone is uncomfortable or happy or stressed, you can respond with real empathy. It's about understanding people, not judging them.
So, as you go out into the world with this new perspective, just ask yourself one question. Who in your life are you going to choose to understand just a little bit better? A coworker? Your partner? A friend? Because when you start to truly see the people around you, you don't just change how you see them. You have the power to change the entire relationship.